Okay, you're in. How you doing?
Okay. Hello, Mr. Ross.
How's it going?
Pretty good. We've got one of the leaders of the new school of R&B out here. Uh, we're very excited to have you as a guest today.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
I'm
Yeah,
Omar, and this is the host of Halftime Chat, Namdi.
That's
yeah, yes,
good
yes.
to meet y'all, man.
Yeah. Where are you based, Kevin?
I'm based in Philly right now. I'm originally from Washington, D.C., so uh not too far from home. Yeah.
Okay, okay. I mean, I think one of the things that we've, I think a lot of, at least a lot of people have been really impressed by when the Can We Talk challenge came up. We started to see people that we hadn't really gone to know. You know, most of us who were born of a certain generation are very much affiliated to our '90s R&B acts and stuff, and so that gave us a chance to start seeing people like yourselves, Avery Wilson, and others, but what we didn't realize is that actually you've been recording music and you have stuff out and stuff. So it would be really good for the audience to get to know you, the person, and then we talk your music and pretty much get an understanding for artists such as yourselves. It's a lot different than when when we used to buy CDs and watch our artists on video. So
Yeah.
how we expect artists like you to make money and succeed in today's market stuff. But
No, absolutely.
yeah, so but we'll always go to the beginning. So you said you born and raised in DC, moved to Philly. I just out of curiosity, I mean, how did you get into music as a kid?
Honestly, my whole dad side of the family, they sing or play instruments. So, that was a really big like intro into it. And you kind of had to like, get through them in order to, you know what I mean, before getting into the public. And so,
Mm,
that was a really, really great experience. And then I went to art school out in DC. Shout out to Duke Ellington School of the Arts. And then from there, I graduated from there and went to Berklee College of Music out
Berkeley.
Boston, Mass. And after that, I went down to Atlanta and I wanted to become a writer. And so, I knew that I could sing, but I wanted to do something that could be an extension of myself. I knew that, like, just singing wasn't going to be able to pay the bills. And so, I wanted to try my hand at writing. And I've been writing, songs for a couple years in college or whatever. So I tried my hand at it. Met my mentor, Troy Taylor, and he really kind of cultivated, my pen game. And so I want to say a year after I moved down to Atlanta, I got my first placement with Jamie Foxx. And then we started from there. So what
Okay.
was that 2011, like 2011 is when like my entry into the music business kind of happened.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I've been listening to your voice for days. You got a dope voice.
Thank you.
So my whole thing is I want to kind of go back because you would put me in the mind of like a Frankie Beverly
Oh wow.
or, Prince, Marvin Gaye. You got so many different blends and inspirations in there. I'm just curious at what point, even though you come from a musical family, at what point did you know you have a golden voice, like you have something special. It's one thing to be able to just carry a note, but you have a very um, unique gift. So can you tell me what age you realize, oh, I'm a little different from everybody though, not your family, just in general, people in general.
I think that you know what the crazy thing is? I don't know what it's like, you know what I mean, for other people, but you know
Mm,
how like you get a notion or you get a tap, whether it's spiritually, whatever you believe, right? But there's this notion within your spirit or your inner self, and it's like you're different or
yeah,
something is special about you. And
right.
you hold on to that, from a very young age. It kind of hit me at 13, 14 years old when that thing kind of tapped me. It was just like,
Tapped you. Yeah.
you're special. Now here's the thing, here's the catch. When you get the tap, you're not at the place where you are truly special and um the world doesn't know that, right? And
No,
even if you
right,
had
right.
the opportunity to be in front of the world, they'll deny you because of the fact that you're not ready, right?
Right,
But
right.
it was a seed that was planted inside of me to say, okay, I'm not where I want to be. My voice is not where I want to be. At 13, 14 years old, very underdeveloped, and just a lot of stuff going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it was my willingness and the work ethic. Once that seed was sown, like I was very, very diligent to like take care of it, to like really water it and plant it and you know, grow and allow for it to mature after a while. And that took, I mean, it took years, man. So I appreciate you saying, you know, a golden voice, but truthfully, you know, anything in how people view me, it is nothing but God's doing, because I remember from the Genesis to now, you know what I mean? Like I was not a prodigy in any way. So it wasn't like I came out the womb killing. So everything that I have is, you know, from work. Yeah.
Coming from a musical family, because I do too, did you feel any, I don't want to say insecurity or anything, or like, you know, everyone's a singer in the family or involved in music. Did you feel pressure to be as good or to make it, or was it, you know, a competition in the family for that attention, or, you know, did everybody just kind of play their part? Because I don't know in what function were you all involved in music, so just curious.
I was a very introverted kid in a sense that like, I was very, very shy. And so, you know, with being so shy, you know, the only people that would hear me sing around the house is my mom and my dad, and hooping and hollering. And the only thing that I wanted to do when I was younger was make my dad proud. You know what I mean? And so, you know, once he kind of gave me his thumbs up, and his thumbs up is very different, because his thumbs up is throwing your ass out the frying pan and into the fire. And so felt like I was a strong enough vocally, he would then put me on to gigs. So if he's singing at a wedding, I have to sing a song. If you know what I mean?
Pressure.
You know what I mean? So it really allowed for me to like tame my nerves, because it was like, okay, my dad thinks that I can hold this song together. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, and my father, just his control and his ability, you know, I was just like, I don't even know why I'm up here. But you know, I think that was the thing where that was his thumbs up. Instead of being like, son, you can sing, you know, instead of him saying it, he did it with his actions. And I will forever love him. Yeah.
But at that young age though, what is the long I mean, growing up watching Tevin Campbell and watching who else was there that I can remember, but you know,
Shanice, Tracy Spencer, there's been a lot of Brandy.
But I'm thinking about from the boys' side though. I mean, apart from the boys themselves, I mean,
Usher.
Usher, Return of the Mac. Was it Remember the Mac? I can't remember what it was. But
no, that was.
Is it the Mac?
But, Call Me a Mac.
But at 13, who are you looking at and thinking, okay, you know, because you won't be looking at a thing of, I was gonna, I don't know, you're not gonna look at Aaron Hall and think, okay, I can be like that, because at 13, you might be looking at someone like your age and thinking, okay, I could be like this.
Well, when I was 13, I'm trying to think of who was my age. At 13, this is a couple of years before Chris Brown actually comes out. Okay. So there was a huge gap in between. So everybody, when I was 13, was far older. So we're talking, you know,
B2K.
We're talking B2K. We're talking Usher.
Immature, okay.
You know what I mean? Like Usher, Confessions-esque, but not really. Alicia Keys, John Legend, that's the realm, you know, Music Soul Child, little later of Music Soul Child kind of stuff. So, you know, those were the people that I was looking at. So these are grown ass folks. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But even younger than that, you know, I mean, Tevin Campbell was always kind of like the bar. It was Tevin and Michael Jackson, in the sense that like, even though Can We Talk was years, years prior to that, it was still a big record. You know what I mean? So, I was still around where like, like you had CD. So like my mom had the CD. She loved the record, so I'm singing along with it. And at that time, because my voice hadn't changed, I can hit all that. You know what I mean? And the goal was just to try to somewhat match Tevin. Right. If I can sound decent enough to like blend in on certain parts, I was like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we in there. And then of course, adolescent Michael Jackson is,
right. Yeah, he was crazy. He was a beast at a child stage.
Ethereal, like in the sense where it's just like I don't think there's any other child singer that had that level of vocal ability. So, I think those two, when I was, younger, that 9-10 range was, me singing around the house, because Usher came out with My Way, and his voice was so deep, it was too deep for me, so I couldn't sing anything. I would always have to either like sing it an octave up. So those were the two singers when I was younger that I could, try to match. And then the older I got, then Usher and Chris and all of those guys.
But were you even contemplating that that's the career that you were going to go to, or was it just enjoying the singing?
It was really just enjoyment. I didn't, when I was younger, I didn't think that I was going to like go into the music business and like land this record deal. It was more so of a thing of like, it was just kind of a, outside of my family, it was a secret thing. You know what I mean? And of course, like the engagements that my dad would take me on, but I didn't know anybody, and nobody from school knew that I sang. So like, even like people will reach out to me, over the past couple of years, and they're just like, yo, I didn't even know you sang. Like, I didn't even know you like,
wow.
Like what? So there, I mean, a lot of people that I went to school with, grade school, middle school, were very baffled at the fact that it's like, yo, like you're an artist, like you're a singer, so it trips
that
them
is
out.
very interesting. Like with a voice like yours, you would think you would just be singing all the time, singing to the bus stop, to singing, around the school,
I was afraid of judgment. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You know how it is as kids, like either they gonna like you for what you do, or they gonna ridicule you for what you do if you're not good. And I wasn't secure, in that way, to feel like I could offer my gifts, you know what I mean, to my classmates without feeling like they would make fun of me. So that was just a real, thing for me growing up.
Well, I want to fast forward to when you had us going through it with Jaws on 106 and Park. Can we talk about that? Like, oh my God. That was incredible. And you kind of had like, I see you, because you came out with the guitar. Everybody else had the choreographed dance steps and all that stuff. When they did the competition, you came out with the guitar. You just had a whole different vibe. You was like, oh, look at this talent. I ain't got to dance. I ain't got to. So tell us about that. How did that happen? Because I do remember that on 106 Park.
Wow.
That performance.
Yes. You took me back. Shout out to Bobby.
I'm going through it. I'm going through it. Going through it. I can't sing it, but dope. I like that song.
History, bro. Like, yeah. So my guy, man, Bobby Daniels, he hit me up, and I was about 18, 19 at the time. He's like, yo, you gotta do 106 in Park. You are of age now. You gotta do Wild Out Wednesday. And I was just like, nah, because it's a Chris Brown, Neo era.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They dance. And I'm like, I'm not a dancer. I'm a groover, but I'm not a dancer. I'm not going to be up there with like 3 other people dancing. So like, yo, I don't think they're going to really rock with me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm at Berkeley at the time. So I'm just like, I don't fit in nowhere. Let's just be very clear about that. So it's not like I don't fit in at Berkeley because I'm not a hardcore jazz cat, and I'm not a gospel guy either, right? So either
Right.
you were jazz, you gospel,
Or gospel. Right.
R&B, nah, right?
Right,
So
right.
don't fit in at Berkeley at the time. Don't fit at Berkeley, and so I'm under the belief that I'm like, yo, popular culture is all about dance. I damn sure probably won't fit in there. He's like, yo, let's just go to New York since you in Boston, take the bus down, and let's just see. You know what I'm saying? So take the bus down, meet him out there, and we do the auditions. And and so you did it with a track, and they like, all right, cool. Like, thank you, we appreciate it. And we'll get back to you, but I think we can fit you onto the show. So I'm like, all right, bet. So a couple months go by, and they're like, yo, you got a slot. So I go down. No, I'm sorry. Before that, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna do an acoustic version of the song that I wrote a couple of months ago called Withdrawal. So they're like, yo, the song is, no, it wasn't Withdrawal. It was another song that I did for the first one. And I'm like, yo, no, it was called Adore You. Right.
Oh, okay.
And so they like, yo, like, I don't think you should do an acoustic. Like, you should do a track, because that's what people are going to hear on MySpace. Right? So,
MySpace.
So I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm gonna just go ahead and stick to my guns and do the acoustic. So I get up there, it's me, and my guy that plays guitar, his name is Josh Connolly. So we go to New York, and I meet the two other contestants with their background dancers, and we got the whole entourage. And so when I get to the door, they immediately start laughing. Like, immediately.
Laughing?
Like, yeah, they laugh. Like, they literally laugh.
That's unprofessional. Like, okay.
But I remember it was like, yo, when I was
that might have been an intimidation tactic, though. Maybe they're trying to intimidate you, make you feel insecure.
Because of the fact that I just didn't fit in, right? Like,
okay.
Dancers, like, you don't even look the part. Like, you ain't got the S curl.
Oh yeah, because that was an era of the Chris Brown and the UK kind of dance and stuff. Yeah.
So, whether it was like them laughing out loud at me, or whether it was like, you could feel when someone is like, when like a group of people are looking at you and just kind of snickering and just saying,
like,
slick stuff, right? So I knew that I was like, I'm not a favorite amongst my peers right here. But I'm here, you know what I mean? And I knew, like, God had told me, like, yo, your life after this moment, your life changes, right? So I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I'm here for it, and I'm here. So I'm automatically thinking, all right, Kev, listen, we're gonna give it a valiant effort. Hey, I made it on television, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna lose. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna lose because of what the peers did to me. So I'm like, if my peers are feeling that way, then I can only imagine the crowd. So I'm like, all right, well, let's just go and do it, right? Like, let's so I sing, do that whole thing. And, the results are coming in as far as the numbers and the percentages. And so they like, and Kevin Ross wins. And I'm like, what? This is crazy.
You downplaying it because it was actually instant. It was instant. Like, people, I remember the audience screaming, the girls like, it was instant. You knew. But that's, I love that story. That's so dope. Yeah. Yeah. So another question I wanted to ask is, can you tell us about your first single? What was that like? Like, when you had your first single released, how was that? What was that experience? Were you excited? Were you nervous?
I mean, it depends on what people think my first single is, right?
Yeah, because was Withdrawals released as a single?
None of them were, because remember, that's MySpace days. So that's like, I didn't even have
that don't count.
I didn't have a deal until years later. So technically,
right.
You want to be technical. My first single was Long Song Away. And that was
I do remember that.
A long time ago. You know what I mean? Like, and it's, it took a long time from, the story that we just talked about to there, because here's what happened. What God was trying to show me with 106 and Park is that there's power in your truth, right? And truth don't change with trend. So no matter if it's dancing, no matter whatever people are doing, you stay true to what was put inside of you. And that different or that uniqueness can very well be the thing that shifts things for other people, or give people give people hope, or spawn off a whole bunch of creative stuff. So I lost that between the years of 2012 to 2016. Now, let's be very clear about this. Was making money. Was landing placements. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But
I didn't mean to skip over your songwriter journey. I just thought that The Withdrawals was actually a single. That's why I thought that was like around the time you were trying to actually be an artist. So my bad.
It was all that was for play. It was all
okay.
Until later on. But honestly, I lost sight of that. You know what I mean? Like in a sense of just like my truth, my uniqueness, really sticking to my musicianship. And because it wasn't cool. I remember getting signed and they were like, hey, so can we not talk about you going to college? Because that may not be something that people can relate to. And I was it happened to me. So I mean, it's a part of my life, but we can keep it out, whatever. You know what I mean? So it was certain things that they were slowly trying to strip away from me to try to make me as relatable as possible, when my story and who I am and the music that I like made me unique. So, when you're fighting with the powers that be that signed you and you've cultivated a sound, and then they're like, that sounds cool, but we're gonna put you on to some new stuff. And what ended up happening was, God made that time period in a sense to say, Kevin, they don't know what they're talking about. And you aren't confident in you yet. You don't know who you are yet. So this is going to take a while, because I have to now do divine intervention, right? Divine intervention is something where like God has a blessing for me, but he has to move through 10 other people, right? It's 10 other lives that he has to work through and move through in order for divine intervention to happen. And so it took 4 years for that to happen, to say, Long Song Away was written and produced by me. So God kind of kept that to say, don't let them do nothing with this. And even though they're going to make you do all these songs and work with all these people, and it's all great and it's all good, but this is what I have. This is my
that's set aside for you.
Yeah, this is my promise. And even though the people around you don't understand that promise yet, we're going to hold on to it, because it can't be thrown away or discarded. Not this, right? So he put it on to the side. I forgot about it. You know what I mean? And I just kept working. And then eventually I get a call and they're like, yo, like, either we're going to keep working on music to get you this popular, cool song, or Long Song Away. And I was like, Long Song Away? I was like, who the hell likes Long Song Away? And it was so far removed from me that I didn't know what God was doing. I was just like, at that point, all my mind was thinking about is, I just need to be released. I need to put out something, because this is driving me crazy. Right. You know what I'm saying? It was too much stop and go. The Glade commercial thing and all this stuff. And touring with Max and Neo. And I'm like, yo, when am I coming out? If Long Song Away is my ticket, I'll work my way out. Whatever. Like, let's go. So put out Long Song Away. It goes #1. And then that's when God is like, he taps me again. He's like, remember what I told you as far as like, like, truth don't change with trend, and be you. He's like, you wrote and produced that, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, I went through a whole radio run of weeks and months, and I had not opened up my mouth to be like, I wrote and produced it, because literally it didn't hit me until God was like, yo, like, this is your path. And he made it so like every trend that happened, in the sense that it was like, all of the songs that really resonated with people were except for I think maybe like Don't Go, right? Outside of that, a lot of those songs were written and produced or, by me. And so I was like, what are you trying to tell me? It's like, you're more valuable than what you give yourself. And the work that I put in you is a lot more profound. But he's like, do me a favor. He's like, I need for you to tell everybody else that too. It's not just a you thing. It's a thing to say that each and every person that you encounter is just as important because I took the time to make them as well. So if you've battled with that, then maybe you can help somebody else by spreading that, by saying you're necessary, you're valuable, be great, whatever that is. So going back to your question.
No, I love it. Keep going. This is inspirational. We need to hear this.
All Song Away was my first single, and it was nothing but God that made that happen. I can't say the label. I can't even say myself. It was something that was really designed, divine.
I mean, I think one of the things that catches me is, especially because I left the US in 2002, so a lot of the R&B started getting overshadowed by hip hop. So when I moved to the UK, we weren't getting much R&B apart from legacy artists, maybe a few Maxwell's and Beyonce and stuff like that. So when you were being signed, what was the expectations and from the label? Were we, they're trying to go platinum, or they just trying to, because as I said, R&B was losing its reach on TV, with shows, and even on the radio. So what was the label's expectation as to what would count as success?
They didn't know what to do with me. I think that because they seen a lot of potential in me to say, he could be Neo, he could be this guy, he could be that guy, he writes for this guy, he gave Trey a #1. How come he can't write himself a #1? And I was like, well, perspective is everything. And certain things that come out of my mouth and come out of his mouth, you know what I mean? It's all about what is believable, right? So for me,
but that's got to be scary though, to be in a situation where they don't know what to do with you. You just, you're just kind of like in a limbo, like you don't know how to market me. You don't know in this climate what to do with me, and as an artist. Why am I here?
They'll never say, they didn't say that. They didn't.
They didn't say it.
We don't know what to do with you. Listen, the music industry is always infamous, and they will always go to this. You. It's not me. It's not us. You.
It's you.
And you need to go into the studio. You need to, right? So I was getting a lot of you, something's wrong with you. And I'm like, damn, well, maybe I suck. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's not meant for me to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so God has a funny way as far as like within the frame of what you were discussing. That despite what the label said and their expectation or lack thereof, because every time we would hit a certain high point, they were surprised. It's like, okay, we're opening up for Maxwell. Really? Oh, we're opening up for Nee. Really? We got the Glade commercial. Really? Yes, it's #2 on R&B iTunes. Really? I'm like, what do y'all expect from me?
Right.
I was surprised by everything that they were always reactive versus being proactive. And like, okay, he's getting ready to do this, so let's prepare so that we can then attack with the stuff that he does have, right? So it didn't make sense for me to stay with them once the light turned on. So once I realized that they didn't have an expectation, and that either whatever was inside of me scared the hell out of them, or that they just didn't know what to do with it or with me. Once that clicked, I was like, you know what? I'm better off discovering me on my own. and cultivating a sound and a bass without outside cooks trying to cook with me in the kitchen, because now it's taking longer, it's distracting, and then it does something to your spirit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
but how
Yeah.
easy is it though, just to walk away from a label? I mean, I don't know if modern day label agreements are different, where you can just say, yeah, it's not working, I'm just going to go off.
oh no, it took about a year for them to let me go. Because it's like, by that time I scored a #1 record with them at Urban AC. They were surprised. I was surprised. Everybody's surprised. We get nominated for NAACP awards, iHeart Music Awards for Best R&B or Best New R&B Artist. I mean, it's a lot of stuff that came after that. So once that happened, and it was a defining moment. The defining moment. The defining moment was two things. The first thing was, so I had gotten cool with Michael B. Jordan, right? So we were all kind of in the same circle. So we over at one of our homeboys' house, shout out to Sterling Brim, and we're playing video games, and he's talking about, and this is Michael B. Jordan at this point. He done did Creed, and so everybody's throwing money at him. So we playing video games, and he just like, yo, you got any music for this Piaget watch commercial? I'm like, yeah, like we can figure that out. You just let me know what song. He's like, yo, I think that, this song off your album will be super dope. I'm like, say less. So I'm thinking it's as easy as just being like, yo, like I just talked to him, Mike, like, yo, he's gonna put this in the commercial. This is gonna be a good look for us. But here's the catch. Because I was a signed artist to a major label, I didn't own my masters, right? So I couldn't say yes or no. So I had to be like, you have to ask the label. And then once you put it into the label's hand, then they start negotiation to say, well, we want 25 grand, we want this, and that. And whatever they settle on, here's the catch. Even if I wrote and produced it, I get zero of the sync fee because I don't own my master, right? So not only does it make a relationship, if your label is bargaining in the wrong way, right, it makes your personal relationship with people a little awkward, right? Because they think, yo, they're supposed to be looking out for me. Why they hit me over the head for X amount of dollars? Like, this is a good look for him, right? So that makes that awkward. And then you get no money out of it. So for me, I was like, this ain't adding up. This don't make sense. Second one, I went out on tour and I needed tour support. And I did my first run, and I know I spent about 60 to 70 grand of my own money to finance my tour. And my label at the time gave me maybe 10. Maybe.
So you're signed to a major label. I'm not gonna say the name of it, but you're signed to a major label, and you had to put in 70,000 of your own money.
Yeah, and mind you, I don't own my masters, right? So it's not as if my ROI, as far as on, they get a piece of merch, they get a piece of everything. I'm in a 360, right? So they own all of this stuff, and I'm putting up 70 grand, right? So I'm like, that don't make sense. Then, and this is a little known fact. So I was offered the Bruno Mars 24 Karat Magic Tour, the Canadian run. And so when it was offered, we needed tour support. I had exhausted, most of my personal funds just to make sure that the tour went on successfully. But you don't turn down Bruno Mars. But they did. So they turned it down. And so
the label turned it down.
Because they felt like, at the time that either we shouldn't be paying to be on tour with Bruno Mars, and they didn't want to exhaust any more of the budget. So at that time, I knew that I was like, they don't get this. They don't get
me. That's bad decisions right there. Bruno Mars?
Yeah. So
that's good promotion.
Yeah, that's when I clicked. That's when it clicked to be like, they don't understand. And you know what I mean? Like, it's all love. So when I asked for my release, everybody thought I was playing. my management thought I was playing, the label thought I was playing. So they didn't say nothing to me for 2-3 months. Right. And I'm like, I need the president's number since nobody's taking me serious. I text the president, hey, I emailed the president, hey, we got to talk. I only talked to them after 4 or 5 months. And they're like, you really serious about this? And I was like, yeah, I'm serious as a heart attack. I was like, I want to be let go, you know? And it, like I said, it took, 6+ months after that to be released, because it was like, being in a relationship where somebody, wants to break up and the other person wasn't ready. And I just felt like, I have more value. I understand my worth a little bit more now. And I'm not going to stay in a place where I feel like I'm not being appreciated. You know what I mean? I'm just being tolerated at this point where it's like, no matter how much I do, no matter how much God blesses me on a personal level, and even just on an artistic level, in my POV, my team and the people around me, it didn't click for them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so I'm just like, nah,
and that's what's interesting. A lot of art, your fans and a lot of people in general, when they listen to music, they see artists on television, and they'll compare artists, and they'll always have that wonder why this artist isn't as successful as another artist.
Mhm.
And usually when we tell our art audiences, usually it's the team. It's
Mhm.
something to do with the team a lot of times. Like in your case, you're
Yeah.
hugely talented. You write and produce. Your pen game is crazy. We're going to get into that in a second. But you just didn't have the resources and the tools. They didn't. You weren't a priority to them, it seems.
Mhm.
So it's like, it's unfortunate. But let's get into your pen game, because you have written for some really big names.
Mhm.
You've written for Johnny Gill, Tony Braxton, as you said, Jamie Foxx,
Yeah.
Trey Songz with Touching, right? Was it Touching?
Touching Loving.
Touching
Yeah.
Loving.
A couple right.
Nicki Minaj. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I mean, you've worked with Troy Taylor, one of
Yeah.
the legends in the game,
Mhm.
who's brought us, Trey Songz, Elijah Blake,
Mhm.
Brandon Green, a lot of different people. And also on your album, the latest one, Drive 2, I
Uh-huh.
mean, there's so many fire records on there. Like, your pen game is crazy. Like, I like Miscommunication. Now,
Wow.
that's a song when you want to send some subliminal shots, played it around the house a few times. She gonna be like, okay, why you playing that over and over again? What you trying to say? That's the kind of song that is. That's clever songwriting. You
Thank
know,
you.
um, Sweet Release. I love that song. You got a lot of Honest is well. I think that's on the
That's
which one
Audacity.
is that
Yeah.
on?
It's Audacity,
Yeah.
but
So,
yeah, it's all good.
but that's a good song too. That's got some great lyrics in it.
Thank you.
So you are a gifted songwriter, and it's rare that you have someone that's gifted in voice and songwriting, and you're also a producer.
Mhm.
So tell me about the time when you started to um, develop your songwriting gift.
Mm.
I know you've worked with, Troy Taylor. Tell me about leading up to that, because that's not an easy thing. I mean, I'm a songwriter. I've submitted to Troy Taylor. I've submitted to these people. So give some of us some, no pointers, no,
Yeah.
give us some of your story, because it's really interesting, because you had a lot of success behind the scenes as a songwriter. So I'm
Yeah.
surprised that the label you were with, um, didn't know what to do with you. Just let him do what he does, is what I would
Yeah.
say. But
I mean, honestly, I think that I mean, even like in the cultivation of songwriting, it's a lot of trial and error, right?
mhm,
It's a lot of just like, okay, you got to figure out like what you sound like as far as like from a lyrical standpoint, how that
mhm.
can be penetrated into other people's lives, being able to be the chameleon, being able to adapt. Um, it's so much to it, you know what I mean? And it's a ever like evolving process as a writer. Um, but like starting off, it was a thing where it was like, yo, I'm gonna make songs because I love it. And then after a while, you're trying to match up songs um to what you play in the car. It becomes a competitive thing to say, can I make a song that Tank would do on Sex, Love, and Pain? You know what I mean? And then there's a withdrawal that comes from that, right? So I felt like that was my rinky-dink version of what Tank would do on Sex, Love, and Pain. And so those kind of records and you emulating and being inspired and building these worlds, you just, after a while, after hundreds and hundreds of records, you create formulas for yourself to say, oh, okay, this sounds like I could go here, or I could do this, or this needs a big hook, this needs more of a simple hook, this is more of like a one word takeaway that just, the one word hit a quitter joint, so it's so many different routes that you could go. And I discovered that through trial and error. So by the time that I got to Troy, I was just a wild card. You know what I mean? Like, so no one knew what to expect in the sense of like what they were going to get from me from a song perspective. And it wasn't until him just kind of being like, change that that hook needs to be stronger. That subject matter is not strong enough. You know what I mean? Like he'll, if you have something like, even if whatever, he'll just be like, okay, change this, change that. And he's not one to really talk to you like and break it down in a science. Like,
right.
He ain't that guy. Like he'll tell you one thing and he'll leave the room. And you just got to call him when you're ready and be like, hey, can you listen to this? And no matter how many times he'll be like, nope, that ain't it. And you be like, damn, like, call me when you get it. Hey, come here. Nope, that ain't it. But the cool thing with Troy was it was a great training ground because of the fact that the industry is not like that, right? And even though his method is not like, sit you down and talk you through the process, it's still more forgiving than the actual music business. Because in the music business, all you got is one shot. All you got is 15 to 30 seconds. When they hear that record and be like, all right, am I into it? Nah, that's whack. They ain't gonna call you back. The A&R ain't gonna be like, yo, I like the verse, but can you change the pre-hook and the hook or this and that? Like most A&Rs now aren't built for that, right? They built to understand what people are gravitating towards. So their job is a lot easier that they could look on SoundCloud to say, okay, they're getting these amount of streams and plays. They ain't gotta understand the music. They only have to understand that there is a base and there is a crowd or audience that get it. So they like, all right, well, they got this crowd, and just imagine with this money, what we could do. And you know what I mean? Right. So, the music industry is not forgiving in the sense of when you play songs, right? So Troy at least gives you enough time and space to make the corrections so that when you're sitting there in front of a Tony or a Tank or whomever, because you can always have a Troy Taylor in your ear to be like, nope, don't do that. Nope, that's not good. Nope. You be like, yeah, it's not good. Let me go ahead and change that real quick right now, because those are the moments that matter, right? It's just like, when boxers train, they train every goddamn day. You know what I'm saying? Football players, basketball players, athletes, they train every day.
Yeah.
For, you know what I mean? For a particular game, or, even like Olympians, they train for like literally a couple weeks out of 4 years. And maybe, the Winter Olympics, so every 2 years or whatever the case may be. But all of those training moments, all of those exercises, all of those routines are for a defining moment.
Right.
And that to me was my training with Troy, was to prepare myself for the defining moments when I'm sitting there and I can't say, oh, my bad, Mr. Quincy Jones, I'm having a bad night. My bad, Mr. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever.
Yes.
Like, nobody wants to hear that you're having a bad night, right? So what the skill sets that you develop is you say, okay, you know what? I'm going to say, okay, this didn't work, but let me try this. Let me figure out different ways, right? And it's your willingness, right? Who's willing to do a song over and over again, right? We heard the infamous story of Pharrell Williams and Happy. You know what I mean? He sent it into the studio. They gave him the job, remember, to do the theme song for this actual Despicable Me movie. And he had to submit it 9 times.
Oh,
9 different songs. So, and it's Pharrell Williams. So he's already successful. He's a goddamn multi-millionaire.
yes.
Telling somebody that's that successful, nope, that ain't it. Nope, that ain't it. Somebody with an ego like that would have gave up by song 3. You know what? Nah, this ain't for me. Nah, I'm good. If y'all don't understand what I'm trying to do, I like this. I'm Pharrell Williams. I done sold hundreds of millions of records. I know what I'm doing. But he was humble enough, and he had somebody, i.e. Teddy Riley, to tell him, nope, do it again. Nope, do it again. Nope, do it again. Nope, do it again. You develop this callous in you to say a relentless, like, if you're giving me a chance to do it over, which is very rare in the music industry, I'm gonna take that chance. I'm gonna take that shot. If you telling me it ain't it, but you want me to do it again, there's something there. And I'm gonna keep prying at it until I get it. And
one thing I like, sorry to cut you off. What I'm noticing, even just hearing from you, you are a product of great mentorship, and you had great people. It seems a strong father, strong, mentors in your life, musically and spiritually, that have sharpened you and passed on wisdom and made you a very strong and intelligent and shrewd businessman. So, it's so great to see. This is what I want our audience to see is, an artist that, this is the difference in an artist that actually is seasoned and ready for the business. We've seen recently a lot of the artists of today on the Twitter complaining about their record deals, wanted to quit, and you have been able to endure all these bumps in the road and capitalized off of the success that you've accumulated over the years. With your prior label, you were able to be released and actually capitalize on that. So you've had a lot of smart moves, and so it leads me to my next question. Now that you're the boss, basically, and of course you have a great team of people that are probably, experienced, knowledgeable, but now that you're the boss, how do you find time for the creative? Because a lot of times you lose the passion for the creative or the music when you're involved in the numbers and the strategies and, the realities of the business and the long nights of, hashing out deals and waiting. So how do you keep that passion for the music, that creativity, when you carve out time to actually write songs? Because you're writing too, you're producing. So
I mean, just like in a relationship, you got to make time for it, right? Like, if you don't make time for it, time is going to pass you by. You're going to allow anything to take you away from what you love. And so for me, I always make time for it. I always tell my team that, January and February is usually the months where I go and I create. You know what I mean? And whatever I come out with within those 2 months is then we're on full attack mode for the next year or 2 years of the music that I created from out of that. But I need that time. I'll take interviews, I'll take certain shows, I'll take gigs or whatever the case may be. But outside of that, I'm fully dedicating my time and my life to what I love. And yeah, sometimes when you are in the seat and the boss of, of your business, it can get a little mundane, and, you start to, feel like you're getting removed from the actual magic of the music. But then you have to understand there's a bigger play at hand, right? So no matter like what the streams look like, and I've been extremely blessed within my indie career. It's been 2.5 years and we've done over, 60 million streams, and which it may not mean a lot to anybody else, but I always think about, I started at 0.
That's impressive. That's impressive.
You know what I mean? So that's, to me, I look at that to say, in those 2 years, somebody's listening to the music. You know what I mean? And so, I'm not getting into my business mind because it was going to take me there. But needless to say, is you got to make time for it. No matter what is going on, like you have to make it your business to say, even if it's an hour, 2 hours, just to like sit there and say, I'm going to sort through these drums. I'm going to write something good or bad. We're going to do something tonight because of the fact that I said that I was going to, right? Like,
right.
So to me, that's the most important part of it. And so it's not just a product, but it's also, you know, I'm realizing, you know, it's a soundtrack to people's lives. People really make memories and moments from out of that. And so it's a, you know what I mean? It's not even a gift and a curse. Like these are two blessings that it's like, yo, I have the responsibility to make really good music and memories for people, but then also I can make a really good living out of this as well, because I understand what I'm worth and I understand how much the dollar is, the power of the dollar within the music business and how to move it. There's nothing better than that. And so I take the time and I sacrifice it because it's worth it. The people deserve you know, the music, and you know, my team deserves for us to be profitable.
Yeah, but thinking about that, because the modern day industry is sort of alien to a lot of, as I said, to generation, and I'll put myself in there. Who, I mean, now I listen to music on YouTube, or maybe I see stuff on Instagram. You have my kids who see stuff on TikTok.
Yeah.
But then how does that become money to the artist? You know, it's very different when we were buying a CD or it's on the radio. The mechanics were there. So, you know, not like looking to get numbers, but
no, you're good.
when I spoke with H-Town, they said, look, we're putting out music to get tours. You know, the music is to say, hey, we're still around. We're making the videos. It was more so to let people know that they're around. They weren't thinking about the streams. They were just thinking about, okay, yeah, we're still around. And they're playing and they're going on tours, singing their legacy tracks. But for newer artists like yourself, I'm saying newer artists, but I'm saying independent artists, you know, I think of people like, you know, because you're not on a label as it were. But when, you know, and I'm a good friend of, I don't know if you know Nefertiti Avani. Okay. She's done some stuff. She just did some stuff with Fat Joe and Snoop, but I'm just saying so what I'm seeing is that you're getting the music out there, but are you looking at that and thinking, okay, good, there's the money coming from that, or is it like, nope, I need to go on tour, and that's where I'm generating my money to live as you know a good have a good living?
Truth be told, I'm more wealthier as an independent artist than I ever was as a major. Let's start there. Two, there's a beauty in understanding your world of music, right? And how that world of music works for you, right? So for me, the beauty of independence is actually looking at my analytics, not just streaming, right? Because I understand, like, yeah, people consume on YouTube, right? But it's just like a sales funnel, right? You have the bigger loops closer to the beginning of it, right? So everybody has their own sale. So for me, I have to make my world as big as possible. So my sacrifice in a lot of things could be to other people a novelty. But one of the biggest sales for me is my mashups, right? So that's ring one of my cylinder. I go in the boxes and I do wop and ooh, woo, 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 and maybe you'll listen to my music, but maybe not. Then there's a ring two. The ring two is you listening to my music and you actually liking a song, right? Then the next ring around that is to make you a supporter or subscriber or a member that is attached to me. Ring three. Ring four is making you a believer, right? Or make you curious enough to see, is he worth the dollar when I go to a tour? And even when the touring doesn't work, to understand your business to say, okay, now here's the beauty of cover licensing, right? You still make money off of cover licensing. You still make money as far as within the analytics of DSPs. You have satellite radio. You have so many different outlets where you can make the return on your investment, right? And I think for a lot of artists, they don't build their world big enough in order to really see how much they can actually make from off of their ability.
Preach.
I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. I'm not afraid to say, we're in the middle of a pandemic and we're not touring. And when I'm not making money from this avenue, but you know what, let's create a show called The Mashup Show. And we're going to invite OGs and vets on like Avant and Selena Johnson and all of these amazing artists and SWV, and we're going to have fun. And I don't know where this is going to take me, but let's just have this in the can. You know what I mean? Until there's sponsors that come about. Shout out to Respect the Roots to say, hey, we want to do product placement on your show. You'll do product placement on my show. That's money. You know what I mean? You establishing a relationship with the Sirius XM. Shout out to Heart and Soul on Sirius XM and BJ Stone and Cayman Kelly and and Miss Michelle. Them giving me an opportunity to say, hey, we want you to be a guest DJ. Some artists may not have built their world big enough, and they'll be like, nah, I don't really do guest DJ stuff. It's a missed opportunity, right? So it limits their ability to make money in different outlets. In this nature of the business of the music industry, you have to display as many talents and as many abilities as you possibly can in order to create a business structure for yourself. I mean, I can go on and on about this stuff because it's so many different ways that I create money for myself. You know what I mean? Like, I could care less about Spotify playlisting me when I own a part of Spotify as far as in stocks. I understand their analytics to say, hey, thank you for this 1 million streams. Thank you for this 2,500. And I'm going to put this 2,500 into my Webull account and I'm going to make a couple of $100 from that. And then I'm going to flip that and I'm going to do it again. So that money that I was sitting on for a month or 2 months of just, getting a couple of pennies in the bank. Now, the same DSP that thinks that they're cheating me, I'm making money off them, right? So I ain't worried about that stream when y'all making me money. Thank you, Cardi B and everybody else that's making this work because I'm a part of the Spotify business, not the music, the business. And so for me, I think in those, I think in those ways to make sure that I never have to go without. You know what I mean? Like, it's more than just like putting music out to go on the road. Now, more so than anything, going on the radio equates to going on the road, right? Like, what I've understood as far as radio, especially right now, is, you have you have these records and people have this expectation to say, yo, we're going to go on the radio and this is going to increase my following. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to do this, this, and that. And it doesn't, because it's a different format, right? It's an older format in the sense where, shout out to my aunties and uncles. They ain't going to Shazam it, right?
No.
They're going to listen to it. They're going to do. And your job is to get a goddamn booking agent. Because it ain't like the radio station is going to say, yo, Kevin Ross, blah, 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 man, your record's hot. We need you to be at Summerfest. Da, 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 da. Your job is to find as many people that understand your world or that can help to build your world or assist with your world to say, then if you got a record on radio, you hire a booking agent to say, all right, this record is playing really well in Columbus, Ohio. Now let's find a promoter in Columbus, Ohio to make sure that we get our money's worth there. We tell that promoter how much is spending there. They'll feel the effect of it to say, okay, how many spends? All right, cool. Turn on the radio. See, you hear it? All right, cool. So when are we performing? You know what I mean? So that's a whole nother way. And that's just the live aspect. But if we take that away, there's a whole, it's a different ball game. It's a whole new world. Like that people be so focused on getting playlisted on DSPs that it's like, that's only an increment of, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. That's only an increment of what you make. Hold on,
I mean, just before you came on, I was speaking to Matthew Knowles, Beyonce. I don't want to call him Beyonce's dad because he was more than that.
Yeah.
But he said that the moment he got into the music industry, the first thing he did was went to college, to upskill himself, went on every seminar you can, so that once he got in, he started to make relationships, started to know what to do, what not to do, what the perceptions about parents who have kids in the industry, so that and change that perspective, where the label execs of a Sony loved him, and he understood the business. So he understood that, look, our kids aren't going to make all the money off of the records, but we need to make money off of branding and public and dolls and fashion and all that stuff. That's where we're going to make our money from. So what you're saying is very similar, going in and just not looking at, I've got a hot video and I'm big on TikTok and like, this is it, but thinking really outside of the box and really being in control of your destiny. Because I guess, as I said, as things change, what he mentioned was the fact that artists, and even Jay King, who did, who was part of, Jay King,
Club Nouveau.
Club Nouveau, yes. So he said the same thing, that artists are lazy, and he didn't say lazy. They want to go to a label, give me the loan, give me all that money, and you've owned all my stuff because we don't want to do the work. And he was saying, look, if they just do the work, invest in themselves, they can reap the fruit. And how much of this was down to going to college and getting that discipline? Because I think it's not saying college is everything, but there's a discipline that you get in college that hopefully opens up your mindset to think outside the box. Because you were saying that they said, hey, we don't want that college stuff around here. You're making us feel as if you're more qualified than us. But how much do you think going through that, 3-4 years of college and then getting into the industry helped?
I think college, if anything, and I think this is for corporate America too, what college is just an indication of your willingness to learn, right?
Right.
Your ability to learn, or your ability to adapt, your ability to retain information, things of that nature, to not fold under pressure, just like very, very simple things, but to the average person, it may not compute as that, to be like, that's not all that they're looking for. It's like, yeah, like, I wasn't going to use goddamn calculus or anything in in my life, but it's the mindset, just like training. You know what I mean? It's like, are you willing to go through this process to fulfill your, you know what I mean? To get this goddamn degree. You know what I mean? And so that I will say, college allowed for me to accept certain things, in the sense to say, okay, I'm able to learn, I'm able to adapt, I'm able to soak this in, I'm ready to soak this in. And not to say that you can't do that while being a high school grad, right? But it's something about college where, I'm gonna be honest, a lot of the courses I took were very unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? But it gave me the skill set to retain. It gave me the skill set to be open to receiving the information, and you know what I mean, and executing in a different way. So I would definitely say that, especially within my indie journey, because I learned that even when you're independent, that doesn't mean that you're on your own. And a team is very important. I needed a business mentor just as much as I needed a music mentor. You know what I mean? That was important, because I couldn't go on this journey and just be like, I had it all backwards. I had it all wrong. I'm thinking all I got to do is make the music, do a photo shoot, get the graphics right, let the people decide, all of the majestic words that people use that you know, that's literally just like maybe 1%, you know what I mean, of a release, or like, you know, the business, right? So for me, it was really like taking that college experience, the networking,
Yeah, you said
being able to
networking.
communicate with people. It is important. I wouldn't say that, I wouldn't recommend anyone going into debt for it. I always tell, you know, especially kids that are super talented or super intelligent, if your GPA is 4.0 and above, there's no way that you shouldn't be going to school on a scholarship, because you are a prime
Right.
example of what the school desires and what they need. Um, so that's just on a scholastic level. You
Okay.
know, on a musician level, if you're extremely talented and you killing on YouTube or whatever the case may be, and they found you and they ain't not willing to give you a full scholarship, I'd say go where you're appreciated. You know what I mean? And if college isn't for you and you have a clear path on what you want to do, then do it. I know for me, I did not know what the hell I wanted to do at 17 years old. You know what I mean? So college was for me to kind of figure out who I wanted to be, who I was becoming. So it was necessary for me. Went into debt.
Well, well, I wanted to remind our listeners and our viewers we're talking to Grammy nominated Kevin Ross, and he has a new album out, Drive 2. So go check that out. After this, go, search bar Kevin Ross Drive 2, and all his music, The Audacity, Complete, and all of those things. Listening to you talk is just so inspirational. I feel like you should be charging for this session, basically. You dropped a lot of gems that a lot of aspiring artists that are listening or watching, and just people generally curious about the music industry. Some good information for them to digest and take in their own paths. Um, what I wanted to ask you though is, many American artists are loved enough to um, be asked to perform overseas, and you have joined the ranks of those artists. You have been performing overseas. So my question to you is, how exciting was that? How did you feel about being asked to perform outside of the U.S., and were you nervous about performing outside of the U.S.?
I mean, as an artist, I've only done one overseas gig in London at this place called the Pizza Express Live, not too far from the London Eye.
Okay.
So they have like what do you like, a downstairs area where it's like a nice little like jazz.
Okay.
I don't know, like
Yeah.
jazz venue where it's like 100, like maybe 150 people max that can fit inside of there. Very nice venue though. So I went there, and I didn't think nobody was gonna show, because I was like, I've never been to London. Like,
when was this? When was this?
This was 2019. This is 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I've seen clips on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I went to London, and they really showed up. Like they filled that room. And I don't know if it was they filled the room because of the fact of just out of sheer curiosity, or because of the fact that they actually liked a song, right? But I've met some really great people, and just the energy and the reaction of it, that was so welcoming. To be like, you got to come back, and then COVID hit. But like great experience.
Yeah, I mean, there's an appreciation for R&B here in the UK. I mean, and there's an interview with Tevin Campbell who says he likes to travel outside because we don't. I'm here in the UK. We don't get to see Keith Sweat every week in New Edition. We're not seeing them and Jodeci.
No.
So when we do get somebody showing up, that's why Blacks really come around a lot, and it gets packed out because we don't get this a lot, and we don't have a lot of R&B. We're now getting a new wave of R&B British homegrown artists, but still who actually are competing with the American artists. So yeah, there's an appreciation for good R&B music. So that's probably more so people just appreciating your stuff. And I guess with that though, just what would you tell the generation of R&B fans who keep clinging on to the 90s and say, 90s, if you're not from the 90s, we're not going. What would you tell us? And I'll hold my hands. I'm one of those who, don't haven't listened to so much new stuff just because we felt like, you know, it got ripped away from us and our 90s. But what will you tell us about the type of music that you and your contemporaries, you know, and I'm mentioning even the females like Summer Walker, Scissor, her, and all these others who are making music. What would you tell us about how your music might be a little bit different from the 90s, but still is worth investing in?
I think that the most important thing that people have to understand is it's not necessarily about the sound, but the perspective, right? It's our stories that are different. We're in a different time frame where the 90s, you know, is, you know, girl, all you gotta do is call me, pick up the phone, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, whatever, or, you know, Mr. Telephone Man, you know, it's like, there ain't no party lines no more, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
So,
right.
you know what I mean? Like two-way page me and all that stuff. Like, so even things like that, like that was for that time. And so the beauty of the 90s is that they made some classic records. They made a lot of classic records. And so what my generation did was become fans and students of it. The missing part to that is the evolution, right? To say, we are fans of this. And now here's our thing. You know what I mean? Like the transformed and morphed version of it. And you've had artists that have successfully done it. But you know, I'd say for people who may have a disdain or a bad taste in their mouth, as far as like for our generation that are fans of the 90s, to not be so caught up on that, but more so on our story. We have something to say. And no matter what the music that is, what we have to say should be respected. And you know, there's some truth in that. There's some truth in what we have to say.
Who would you recommend? So just so give us 5 males, females combined that you would recommend. Out, you know, Omar's mentioned about your Drive to and your stuff, but just others that you think, okay, you know, yeah, give these other guys a try.
Yes, I mean, of course, yes, me.
Yes, definitely.
Of course.
I've
been singing his praises all on the channel. Like, check out Kevin Ross. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
SZA. I think SZA has a very great and unique perspective. Her writing is very different. I mean, no one writes like her. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just very unique. So SZA, I would highly recommend. I'm trying to think of I mean, obviously Bruno Mars. You know what I mean? Like Bruno Mars is.
Well, I don't count Bruno because
we don't.
He was on the tail code of 2000s. You know, so he's
Okay. I would recommend Summer Walker as well. Okay. I think her perspective is honest. It's it's just very honest. It's very vulnerable. You know what I mean? Okay, let's get to some guys here. I'm trying to think of let's see. Guys. It's a couple that are like rolling around in my mind, but I'm trying to think of like the ones where I'm like, oh man, like I can really relate to I can really relate to what they're saying. Damn. I mean, damn it. I'm trying to think. It's some guys that's out here that's really like saying some stuff. I'm just really drawing blanks right now in a sense of on the guy tip.
I mean, Omar, is there anyone that you can? Okay, go ahead. No, just seeing Omar can help you out.
Well, while you're thinking about that, let me. So my question for you, I think you froze. Did you freeze? Oh, you're there. Okay. So my question for you is, it's kind of similar, but it's not. Okay, so you're very familiar with LSG, right?
Yeah.
Levert, Sweat, Gail. Are you familiar with TGT? And Lucy Pearl?
Yeah.
So my question to you is, if you could create your own supergroup, since you have your own label, and you know you wanted to do a deal, who of your peers, or of any time period, if you prefer to open it up to any other era, who would be those 2 other guys or girls, or it could be guys or girls, that you would have in that group?
That is
to go to group route.
really good question. That is a phenomenal question. You know what? I'm just gonna throw like some real wild cards out there. I think that if I'm included inside of the group, then we need. I would want Avery Wilson.
Okay.
That's the, you know what I mean? And then I would want I'm trying to think. Oh, and then I would want Jasmine Sullivan.
Okay. All right. I like that.
So it would take a lot of the singing pressure off of me, and then I could just focus on producing. Jasmine got a hell of a pen, so you know, and Avery, you know, Avery's like, you know, goddamn
vocal. Yeah.
You know.
In my fantasy football matchup, no, I had an idea of you, Elijah Blake, and 7th Streeter. You know, I mean, you all are great songwriters. Or you, Elijah Blake, and Eric Bellinger. Like, I see the potential. You know, you all write songs, so really wouldn't be any, you know, issue with coming up with hits.
Yeah.
So. But I know those are different egos and different personalities. I don't know how that's gonna work, but assuming.
I think here's the thing though. In every group, you have to have, everybody has to be assigned something, right? Like,
right. I know what you're saying.
So I'll put it like this. So within the past 10 years, there's been so many different people that's like, we are forming groups. Here's a guy group, here's a girl group. And a lot of times they don't work because they never did the research past the songs and how the group looked. So one thing about groups is that everyone had a role, right? So when you look at Jodeci just wasn't 4 guys in leather pants and backwards hat. You know what I'm saying? Had little Timberlands on or whatever. We had Devontae Swing, right? The primary producer and harmony maker of the group. You had Casey and JoJo, who were the primary singers, right? You had Devontae's brother, right? That was a part of the group, the glue and the personality. Right. Now, here's another group, Drew Hill, right? Where you would just think Cisco, Pinocchio, another producer that was a part of the group. Right. Cisco was the signature sound of the group, right? Every one of these groups that we're naming, they had either a signature sound or writer or creators in the group, Boyz II Men. They had their place. It wasn't like everybody was singing over top of each other, because when you really thought about it, whenever they wanted to bring a song home, who sang? Wanya, right?
Wanya, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Whenever Sean or Mike will always start off the song smooth, but they knew how to crank it to another level. Sean plays guitar. Nate plays bass guitar. Some of them write in the group. And then who was the 4th guy?
Michael.
And then Michael on was it? Or was it? It was Nate. It was Nate. So wait. Oh yeah, Mike, you're right.
Yeah, Mike. Yeah, Mike, the bass.
So Michael was more the business guy, right? He was the one that was shaking hands and moving around, right? So you have all of these different personalities, but they benefit each other. Even with Lucy Pearl, that was more of an inward, debacle, but it would have worked because you had Raphael Sadiq, who's a great songwriter, a great musician, but then you bring in what's the old boy from a Tribe Called Quest? His name is
Ali.
Yeah.
Ali Shaheed, right? That's a producer, a beat maker that's known for making slaps and have a great ear, and then you have an amazing lead singer, like, you know what I mean?
Don Robinson.
Don Robinson from En Vogue, right? So they all played separate roles, but when you have a group where everybody sings equally, everybody looks equally, everybody dances equally, nobody does anything else but just that, you're bound to fail because you've never done the research on what made successful groups. Everybody had a different job.
Are we going to see
Let me ask you this. Why do you think that the music industry has lost the taste for R&B groups? Like, why can't we get any R&B groups running again? What's happened?
because nobody knows the formula. Like, I mean, like we literally just talked about, like, nobody knows what I'm talking about in the sense of saying, like, everybody just wants people that look good and that sound good, right? And it's more than that. You can stick 3 or 4 singers together and make harmony, but it's a chemistry that goes along with that. Like,
that's
it's
true.
not about like dancing well and all that. Like, no, like, what's your part? What's your part in the group? Who are you in the group? Do you write? Do you produce? What are you? Right? But if it's just the same people over and over again, eventually you're going to fail because you guys don't have the you don't have what it takes, right? So imagine telling the music industry that, where they're just trying to find people that have a vibe, and it's more than just a vibe. Like, that's what people just don't understand. That's why groups fail. Like, I haven't really encountered a group that I'm like, y'all got the nucleus right. Y'all gonna be something. It's always been everybody, you know, dressed differently or dressed the same, or, you know, it's like, nah, like, y'all ain't got a writer, y'all ain't got a producer, y'all ain't got the you know, the industry, you know, or the personality in the group. Y'all ain't got a lead singer because everybody can sing, and so there's no lead singer. Nobody's willing to back down, right? You ain't got the smoke to take home, you know. So it's a whole.
Yeah, this is something I was telling Namdi. Like, you can't have 4 lead singers. That's not going to work. You have to have a dominant voice. So
yeah, is that something you can consider though? Just as we wrap up.
I will make a group. I will create a group, and they will be successful.
Okay.
You're going to be the next Troy Taylor. You got a label now.
I just, you know, it's hard to find groups that actually like each other too, right? That's another. You have to live with one another. You got to go through that hard part of it, where it's like, all right, you're going on tour, and y'all got 50 grand to pull this off. That means that between travel and airfare, and if you want to make some money for yourself, y'all gonna be bunking up. If it's 4 y'all may have to head to toe it. Your 2 queen beds and come head to toe it. You like each other.
You know what it is. You know, it's been really great to hear from you, and especially, as I mentioned, there's been a I always talk about my own generation, that we've not given time and space for what's going on. And if you're still with a major like a Summer Walker or in the areas, not Andrew, Arnie Lennox, you know, they'll pump the music out so that, but then they don't make the money. But it's the labels making the money. But I enjoy the fact that you're talking about how artists can think about making a living in different ways, and that's been great. And hopefully you can even start a masterclass for people to come in and start learning, because, you know, I think that's the kind of stuff that they do need. They need to know that you can do it by yourself, but these are some of the steps to take. Because it's, you know, you go to college, the people in college aren't running labels and starting off like yourself. So an upcoming artist will listen to you and think, well, he actually is talking from experience, and these are some of the basic steps that you're taking. And you know, that would be something that would be great to see. But 2022, what should we expect from you when it comes to music videos, touring, and everything, so we can sort of mark our calendars?
Be on the lookout for more music in the springtime. This is just a year of, you know, or the season of scaling. You know, I'm in a place where I want to grow, I want to expand. So, you know, I'm looking to partner with other artists. I'm looking to do other, you know, co-ventures and stuff like that as well, partnering with brands, and, you know, really seeing what my abilities are capable of, and also my team's abilities are capable of as well. So that we can, you know, reach out further than just, you know what I mean, like putting out a record, but more so to say, how can we really implement change within the new music industry and let people know that it is possible, of what we're doing to not just be some sort of like luck or anomaly, but something that can happen, you know, quite often. And so I just want to make sure that that people know that, one, I exist, and that and that two, it's much bigger than me, and that I just want to make sure that people understand that it's possible to be successful and independent and not have to suffer, and that you can have whatever you want, whatever you desire. You just have to understand, are you willing to pay the cost? You know what I mean? So, everything has a price, and not in a dark way, but what I'm saying is that, it's you have to pay a price, you have to pay a cost, literally,
Yeah,
to
costs
do
money to make it.
yeah, so, to do certain things. So 2022 is going to be a great year of music, great year of partnerships, a great year of scaling, a great year of me venturing off and doing, different things. Yeah, and it's all for the good of the genre and for independent artists.
It's been a real pleasure talking to you. You've been very inspirational, and I'm actually kind of just in awe sitting back and watching you. I've watched you over the years evolve, and um, and to see you know the continued growth and evolution of yourself. And I think that you would be a great value to the community. Um, I've seen like your music videos, and I see you celebrate our beautiful melanated sisters.
Yeah, yeah.
And I suspect that there's a intentional, conscious effort to push and highlight Black love and love of self and just love in general.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful to see, and then to hear how intelligent, because so many times you interview artists or you talk to people and they haven't got it, but you have got it. You understand where you're going with your career, you understand, and you're learning as well. Because the industry is always constantly changing, things is changing, life is changing, you're an adapter, and I see that. So it's great that you've been able to bless us with some gems and drop some gems on us and let us know some of your thoughts. I'm excited. I want to remind everybody to check out your latest album, EP, Drive To. Go back and check out the catalog. It's all up there. And I wish you the best. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you,
Yeah,
man. I appreciate you guys so much.
yeah. I
All
think
right.
the one thing was, what did Can We Talk the challenge? What did it do for you?
Um, it made me feel like I was a part of the community. You know what I mean? I think that a lot of times I feel like I'm just in my own world. That when Tank called out to the R&B community and specifically the males, that I didn't feel like I didn't feel separated. You know what I mean?
Mm,
I felt like I was a part of it. I felt like I was seen, you know what I mean, by my brothers. You know what I mean? And it felt like a moment that we could all enjoy, that we could all laugh at, that we could all, be in
mm,
astonishment of. So it was just more so than just like, I don't care about the, like, yeah, I gained some followers and some interest or whatever. But beyond that, it was about really establishing a community, you know what I mean? Communicating with
mhm,
people that, you may like see in passing, but y'all now have a dialogue because there's a mutual respect that's there. And so I thank Tank for that, in a sense, for just like starting the conversation, because that's what it's all about, like the conversation
mm,
piece. It's like he has the right name, the general, and sometimes it takes a general to bring an army of lost men together, you know what I mean, to really come together for more so than just singing and the Can We Talk challenge and all of the, whatever, but just like unity. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Like the unification of it. I think that was the beautiful thing. So despite, because everybody had something to say, like, leave it alone, leave Tevin's thing alone. And
You, you
it's
know
like,
what? I would say millions of people who, we have millions of people have watched it on my channel alone, but around the world. And it was a sense of, oh, we like how he did it. Oh, so it was a way of saying, wow, we didn't realize people are still singing like that. Because
yeah,
remember on my two T-Pain, we talked about the whole auto tunes and stuff a couple of months earlier,
Yeah.
and so all of a sudden we're seeing guys just, no matter where they were singing,
yeah,
and it wasn't just the fact that some of us connected to the song again, but we're looking at the vocal part. We love when Kevin comes out and says, "Well, look, my older brother wrote this, and he did his stuff." But we saw other people that we hadn't seen before, so it reminded us of You and Know, the Black Men United. That, and I don't know if you know the track from Jason's
Oh
lyrics.
yeah, the
Yeah,
D'Angelo written
Yeah.
yeah.
How could
And
I
so that we hadn't had that in a long time, and what you guys did by all coming together and singing and supporting one, it wasn't any competition. It wasn't a competition because no one can tell who won, but it was the fact that the music won,
Yeah.
R&B won, and for us it was a pleasure. We only wish Tank continued it. I don't know. He got I don't know what, the pressure was too much, but if we were all waiting for him to bring out the next stuff, but
Yeah.
that stuff that I hopefully you guys can give us more of that, because it's this what our old generation are able to connect to say, actually, you know what, these guys are pretty good, and we didn't really haven't paid them much attention.
That's real.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah. So and we love what you did with the versus stuff. You know, the Teddy and Babyface and the Bobby Brown
Yeah, that was great. That was
and T
wonderful.
Sweat. You know, that kind of stuff is what, like, wow, okay. You know, and as I said, it's the oldest. I still consider myself old school '90s person. I like, okay, this guy's, you know, he knows our stuff.
Yeah, he's knowledgeable now.
He's knowledgeable, but and that's what it is. I mean, you know, I think we posted a video of Summer Walker. Nobody cared about it because it's like, we don't know who she is, you know. And as I said, generation that that watch are mainly in their, you know, mid-40s and stuff. So they're very particular. But what they did enjoy was saying, okay, we don't know most of the people from the Can We Talk Challenge, but we noticed the voice and we noticed that they can really sing, and we appreciate that. So yeah, as almost says Kevin, it's been
Oh,
great. It's been a pleasure. It's been an educational. And please think about doing a master class in the music industry for new artists, because
yeah.
I think it
I
will
see him
do.
doing that.
Yeah, because that would do something really well. As I said, it's a not a business venture, but it's something that people do need, because you've spoken a lot about not just focus on just the music, but other things, and getting people in on board. So everyone looks for how to get into the music industry, but here it is, how to come in and make a living out of it as an independent artist. And that kind of masterclass would really do people well. Not for
Man.
free though, but yeah.
Right.
It's not for
Okay.
free.
Get that money. Ching ching.
Yeah.
Oh, but before we go though, Kevin, I was curious. What is your favorite song to perform?
Oh man, it always changes, but right now it's God is a Genius. It's God
Oh,
is a
okay.
Genius, sure.
All right. And
Yeah, I get surprised
what's
every
3 songs you would want the audience to check out if they're like on the fence or they don't know? Like if you were to give your business card, these are the 3 songs, the 1, 2, 3 punch. I know I'm gonna get you with these.
I don't know if I'm gonna get you with these, but at least like no, at least you'll gain an honest opinion about who I am and whether I'm for you or not, right? So
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'd say Looking for Love for sure. I
Yeah.
would say I have to say Long Song Away.
Yes.
And then the third one that's tough. That's a tough one. That goes between Don't Go.
Yeah, Don't Go is my jam. I love that.
God is a Genius. Yeah,
Withdrawals. Throw that in there. Withdraw. Withdrawals. That
oh,
but no, I just love your that album Drive. I don't know if it was intentional, but it's definitely good driving music. Like I was listening to it, I'm like, this is perfect for this long, road trip. So it's just it all is just a good blend of different, you have like Afrobeat, you got a little dance hall reggae in there. I mean, and I'm just saying over your discography. Jazzy songs, love ballads, some funky, groovy songs like, Let It In, or what's the name of that song?
Let It Out.
Let It Out. Yeah, I love that song. It's just like a cool little groove. So you got a lot for everybody. I hope everybody checks out your new album. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I wish you the best.
Yeah. It is midnight here. It's about midnight here in England. So I've got therapy in the morning because I'm a therapist. So yeah.
Oh wow.
Yes,
So he's a
I've got
psychotherapist.
patients that I have to deal with in the morning. But yeah, but it's been great, Kevin, and we'll probably try and get back with you later in the year to when you've got something else to promote and stuff, and and really get people more excited about what you're doing, because I think there's going to be a lot that we can learn from you and stuff.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys. Thank y'all for having me once again.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Take care.
All right.
Take care.
All right.
Okay.
Oh. All right. Is he on? Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, but most importantly, to press the notification bell so that you can be notified when we do have a new interview. Loads to come, but thanks a lot for watching.
I